I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
The Juice. Happy Thursday to you. Clint Scott and Dr. Mike Gustafson, Ben Foreman. You got Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. We'll start with softball, who had a great day yesterday, beat New Mexico 9-2. They are 13-3 overall. It was their sixth straight win. 3 home runs for the Red Raiders, including freshman Reagen Jennings hitting the first of her career. Hoping for many, 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 many more. They will start the Janine McCaney Memorial Classic. They're over at Rocky Johnson starting tomorrow. They'll face Merrimack first, and that'll, of course, run through the weekend. So looking for another perfect weekend, Gus.
Yeah, it's so exciting, just the trajectory of that program. It's almost like, on one hand, I want to skip ahead a year or two to see what that number 2 recruiting class looks like. But I don't want to skip ahead.
Because it is fun to see the work.
Absolutely. And they're getting better without the benefit of that number 2 in the nation recruiting class. Now, good recruiters, upward trajectory, all that, they've probably helped themselves already in the portal. Yeah.
Well, and you're sitting right now, I'm hoping you'll get in there. I wouldn't be surprised if you do. I think you're in like the receiving votes category already. We'll see what happens with her. You play in a tough conference.
Sure. I'm anxious to find weekends where baseball and softball don't overlay each other so I can get out there and watch some softball. I went to a couple last year and ready to do the same this year.
Absolutely. Well, you have the good, then we go to the bad. Lady Raider basketball lost in Fort Worth 73-52 to TCU yesterday. They fall 5-12 in Big 12 play. 11 points to 21 points difference there in the first quarter, and then 10 points scored for the Lady Raiders and still 21 again for TCU in the second quarter. So this was an uphill climb the entire second half, in which they actually matched each other in quarters 3 and 4, but it was too little too late. Lady Raiders will have one more shot at a regular season win. It'll be at home, Senior Day, against Kansas State, which is no easy task. I believe ranked 15th. 1:30 start time, 107.7 ESFM, 2 o'clock tip on that one. Luka Doncic, as you mentioned yesterday, Gus, had his 25th birthday. I don't know how many memorable birthdays that you've had, but he had one yesterday in a win for the Mavs against the Raptors. They won it 136-125, but he had his 11th triple-double of the season. 30 points, 16 assists, and 11 rebounds.
That kid.
And I know we don't talk a lot of NBA here, and I'm not a big pusher of the NBA anymore. I feel like I used to be, argue with people who don't like it, and I've certainly fallen away from it. But Luka Doncic is incredibly entertaining to watch because the pace doesn't make sense. It just looks like he's going to be stopped. He has a smooth, I would say, slower pace whenever he's making moves and making his way to the basket and doing all these things. He's just very entertaining to watch.
He's historically good.
Yes. Caitlin Clark passed another mark yesterday, passing Lynette Woodard for a major college record. Of course, hers not from the NCAA marks, but she did pass the former Kansas Jayhawk legend last night as she continues to pursue Pete Maravich. She had a three-pointer that came at the 429 mark in their game yesterday to give her 3,650 points, which was 1 point away from that record set back in 1981. Trying to look to see what the number is for Maravich. I'll do extra work. And if you're looking for live coverage tonight, Gus, We don't have anything. It's one of those odd Thursdays. So there you go. That is the juice.
You know, the Maravich thing is so interesting. I think I talked about it on one of our Back in Time segments, but a couple weeks ago, and it was a day where he had scored, another one of his. I mean, he averaged like 46 points a game in his career, and they weren't very good. Mm-hmm. And his dad was their coach, and he took all the shots, and it was sort of the Bill Simmons uses the phrase "the secret" about how when Michael Jordan started giving it up to the team, and there were better players around him, that then his trajectory took off because he was leading the league in scoring and doing all those things, and nothing. They weren't winning, and it's the secret. It's sort of the gist of Simmons' big book of basketball, the 700-page thing. But the Maravich thing in college at LSU, that he set records that Clark's a 4-year player, right? Mm-hmm. She wasn't a COVID fifth or like 4.5 or whatever.
Let's not start that again. That was some of the
I know. I'm just saying this to make sure I'm clarifying. Sure. But you think about
because you do have to clarify. Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah, she's chasing a dude that was I think a 3-year player, maybe a 4-year. I might have been 3 JV plus 3. That I don't remember. Regardless, no 3-point line. And again, I'm not leaning into that like, oh, Pete Maravich was great. He was unbelievable, but it's like it's got this little asterisk by it because it's like if he'd have been on a better team, maybe he does score 26 a game and he takes our breath away and they win a lot. Or if he's playing at North Carolina, he might have scored 19 a game. I don't know, but at that time, North Carolina when they had it going, but. He was the best player on a pretty mediocre team and scored all the points. And it's just hard to think about that in an era where 2 points for every shot. Like we here locally sort of marvel about Bubba Jennings, thinking, man, what would he have been with 3-point line because he was a great shooter. And you say the same thing about Maravich. And there's my submission to the soundtrack song.
17 points away, by the way,
there
from
you go.
Maravich. So this
awesome.
Is yours?
Yeah,
okay.
From Ferris Bueller.
Oh, yeah.
When Ferris rides in the parade, he just done. I almost gave you Donka Shane, but I gave you this one because he did 2 songs in the parade when he jumps on the float.
It is a music request Thursday here on Tech Talk. Again, songs that remind you of movies or on specifically movie soundtracks. So get us those on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. A ton rolling in. We'll get to as many as we can. Appreciate the participation.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Underrated Prince song, by the way.
Time, dude.
Big time. It is Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3.
We could have a Prince Day someday on a Thursday. When's his birthday? I'll look that up. Kenny Loggins' birthday is on a
January 7th.
Yeah, so we're in trouble there. We're not going to get to that one immediately.
Away.
We're going to work on a Prince Day.
We didn't really do this, and I mean, one thing is it's been kind of.
I'll send an email to myself.
Sending myself email. And part of it's like it's conversations kind of been just beat to death year after year, but we never did like hey, who's your favorite Super Bowl performance of all time, halftime show, and Prince is mine. Prince is my favorite, and it adds in when you have like the actual rain from that day because that was Super Bowls in Miami, I think, and so like as he's doing Purple Rain, and you have like the shadows and stuff from the stage that they'd set up. Awesome.
There's a great video of him playing a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame tribute with Tom Petty and Clapton and those dudes, and they're all sort of lined up, and they gave Prince the solo, and you got Petty and more so Clapton and somebody else that were up there
like heavy hitter
deferring to Prince, and he ripped that solo. I mean, just crushes it, and unbelievable.
He's also got some. He's like an all-time oddball too. Like some of like people's Prince stories.
Go look at there's a American Bandstand interview with Prince from pre-Purple Rain, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's way early, probably around the song controversy,
Mm-hmm.
early 80s. I'd probably guess 82, 83. And that video, the interview, how Dick Clark would do it,
Mm-hmm.
was so like his social awkwardness was just. I mean, like couldn't hardly put together a sentence, just like how long you been working on this? How many years you been working on? Or no, yeah, something like that. And he just holds up the number 4 with or whatever it is, like just like bizarro deal. And but then just and you think of him as kind of this kind of electro sort of funk guy, but then again. He grabs the guitar and later on and just
absolute shred
mangles this single like in a mangle in a good way, and just this solo and again in a way in which they go, like, hey, you're Clapton and those guys step back and say, take this. And he's like, okay, gotcha. Hold my guitar pick.
He's not responsible by any means. Why would he be any responsible for anything I've ever messed up with? He is a part of my very first hot mic situation, and it wasn't bad or anything like that. It just made it sound ridiculous. So we're doing a Lubbock High football game. Me and the guy that I was doing color, he was doing play-by-play, and game pushed back hours and hours and hours. Speaking of that lightning and the storm stuff, this game is just. The break is just going on and on and on. So at this point, we have lost our minds, right? And the producer that was running our board, I guess, had texted him. He didn't see it. And at this point, we'd stopped paying attention to updates and was like, for whatever reason, just sent it back to us. And we were nowhere near close. We didn't say, like, hey, we're about to start this thing back up, get us back on. And all of a sudden, they're back on with us. Like, we weren't all the way into the mic, because we're just kind of have them off the headsets and stuff, screaming Purple Rain at the top of our lungs.
That's awesome.
Like, you could probably get some like, welcome back to Westerner football. Ba-doo, boo, ba-doo, boo. It's a Purple Rain, Purple Rain.
That's awesome.
All right, Ben, please give us your play of the day.
Wraparound pass deflected, taken in by Josh Green. He'll drive and throw it back out to an open Washington for 3. Short. Luka the offensive rebound, the stick back, and the triple-double.
I may not be a Mavs fan, but whoo, baby! What a way to celebrate your 25th birthday.
You're a Spurs fan, right?
Yes.
Are you a diehard Spurs fan, or is it like I'm a
100%.
Spurs fan?
100%.
Like you're paying attention like all the time sort of thing? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's already charting the draft, trying to get that.
Who were we pairing with Wemby?
Right.
Wow. Okay,
what
cool.
pick are we going to get? Sure do like that guard out of Poughkeepsie.
Kind of have a second coming of Stockton and Malone there.
There you go. Whatever, man.
I hope you win a championship, though, with him then. Take that, Stockton and Malone. I didn't mean to take a shot at them. I don't know why I did. After Incarnate Word and A&M Commerce fight suspensions from that conference, can't believe the Big 12 didn't suspend the Austin. Watching BYU baseball, that's gorgeous. Can't believe the Big 12 didn't suspend the Austin Major Whiners boy.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
surprised.
I know. And I can't invoke 2012 as I talk about this and expect, or 2011 or whatever. But when Griner got tired of Bardcastle pushing her through the lane and turned and just punched her right in the cheek and the nose, like it wasn't even like I threw an elbow. It's like, oh, hey, you get a game. And it was right at the end of the year. Like, I mean, just this isn't no Brittany Griner hate. And then in that same breath, Tech baseball, Chad Bettis gets called for throwing at one of their dudes who hit him in the ribs, whatever, for a dude who stands on a home run and pimps the thing and misses the entire Nebraska series. Two of the 3 games in which we had leads up there that get him into NCAA tournament. It's just
you mentioned Beckel from last year.
I did, dude.
Players that have gotten suspended for the stupidest reason, 2 legitimate reasons. When you go back, I'll tell you what. I'm going to save this thought.
And so we're equating an intent to injure with a sportsmanship thing, and somehow the sportsmanship thing's worse. What the hell?
I have my thoughts on why I think this happened. And I don't think it's tinfoil territory, but I'll let you tell me if it is. It is Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Keep hitting us up on the Ace Flooring Center chat line. It is a Music Request Thursday. Movie soundtracks today here on a Thursday. Back with more Tech Talk next on Double T 97.3.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
What's better? Oh, let me ask this. What do you enjoy more, this or the actual movie Titanic? Because mine's the song.
I mean, this is shorter.
Actually, I really enjoy
Really good movie.
It's just a little bit shorter than the
Really good movie. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Really good movie.
This one's shorter.
But yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, and you know,
It's less of a commitment.
You kind of be in the right mood. But yeah, you know, beautiful song, kind of peak Celine. You know,
I prefer the awful recorder version that we would play there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If we're out trying to turn it up and thrash, then no.
Oh, man,
if we're
yeah,
talking
like,
Prince,
party people,
right?
forever
Exactly.
you are.
Although I'm sure somebody's remixed that song and put it to a cool.
Yeah,
put it
look
over
up
some cool club
My Heart
stuff.
Will Go On party mix.
I guarantee you, or like EDM or dubstep. My Heart Will Go On.
Trap beat. Trap remix.
Stop! Now you're getting me fired up.
Oh, Gus is ready to go.
go.
Celine Dion, Raider Alley. So, anyway, jumping back to our conversation with Mr. Brock Cunningham, and I agree.
I really
with,
had enough yesterday. But
I
go
agree.
ahead.
Well, I agree with the texter that it's ridiculous that there's not even a game in there. There's not any sort of repercussions, and for the reason that you said. Is when you go back, and I think like even Fran Fraschilla, who was on the doing color for the ESPN Plus call, or for the ESPN call, got a little flack there for a little bit because if you go and watch that play, he was talking about how Brock Cunningham, and he was leaning into something I was talking about yesterday that I hate when I hear glue guy with him, and he was calling him, I believe, a culture warrior.
Right.
And as it's happening, right in that clip, as he goes over. Lays the shoulder into Darian Williams, to which he goes and flies into the table. Dangerous play, completely on purpose. As that's happening, he's like, basically, hey, see, like the play like this. And that little clip, right, sounded bad. Mm-hmm. And then they go back and they watch the tape, and they're watching in slow motion. And he goes, okay, never mind. That should be a flagrant too, right? And he agrees with it. And so there was a little bit, if you were just watching that and you didn't watch his call and you just caught that, he went back on it. So there's that. Totally on purpose, right? Totally calculated, completely knew what he was doing, meant to do it, and it was a dangerous play. My tinfoil...
Let's hear it.
I'm tinfoil ready. Moment. So this was... What did you say, 25 points, right, at this point when this happened?
Yeah, it was a 25-point lead with 10, 15 left. Yeah.
If this was a 7-point game, he wouldn't have done that.
Ooh, okay.
Because you knew the game was over at this point. Like it was going to take a miracle of all miracles with 10 minutes left to come back from this. And that's how on purpose, knew what he was doing type of play it was. So I think it is ridiculous that there was nothing handed down on it.
I couldn't agree more. Again,
because you talked about the safety side to sportsmanship side. This is a sportsmanship side too. It's a dirty play.
Hell yeah, and it's aggravating that and this could be a governance thing in terms of just the structures aren't in play. Whereas baseball has legislated and creeped to this over time, and that's fine. Because here's the key. Those ejections like that don't happen without warnings, and I'm specifically talking about baseball. And, the Tech baseball team this year had one of the umpires that calls Big 12, actually called in Omaha, and calls a lot of our non-conference games, come to work a scrimmage and actually spoke to the team 2 hours before first pitch. and say, hey, here's the points of emphasis this year. And sometimes that can be a new interpretation of a balk thing or whatever, but the big thing this year is sportsmanship. And again, this is after last year, so it's not part of the Beckel conversation. So we haven't dealt with this yet. But and so very intentional, very legislated. You get tossed for doing this, you're going to get 4 games. Okay, and as a starting pitcher, 4 games, or as a pitcher, and and okay, all right, we've legislated that I'm totally fine, and I want our guys. I would say this would probably be best for fans all of us to live by this rule. Find a teammate to celebrate with. All right, since we're sitting up there in section 52, find a buddy to celebrate with. Instead of wasting your energy on yelling at the person in the green shirt or the red shirt, or not the red, but the orange shirt or whatever, let's just find the guy sitting next to you and high five him, right? Hug your wife, do whatever. Don't need to scream down there that he's an a-hole, right? Well, spend that, and same thing on the floor. You hit a home run, you want to bat flip it, look into your dugout. Pump the fist to your guys, not their guys, whatever, etc. And that we've legislated all of that, great. But you're going to tell me that a dude can make a play that was intentional, just crappy as that was, and there's no repercussion? Well, he got ejected. Give me a break, man. In football, you target a guy, which targeting can be dirty, but it can also be sort of accidental. Like, hey, you got to be careful.
Right. Which is something I've seen, which I think this is ridiculous, because I've seen the Big 12 is just a physical league. Well, there's a difference between a physical league and an intentional dirty play. Intentional play that could have hurt someone.
Exactly. And this piles him into a scores table or whatever, and we're like, nah, we're good. No, nothing to see here. I mean, who are you worried about? The whiny ass Texas fans have spent the whole year, and the commissioner, and then we're worried about legislating against them right here. I mean, if we were really out to get Texas, couldn't they just go, hey, Cunningham, you're going to disappear for a while? You got a problem with that? Yeah. But it's I just how we legislate all the sportsmanship thing, fine, and then you get to this deal where a football play like that gets you a half a game, gets you the next game, whatever. Okay, I'm fine with that too. But then there's nothing for this? Well, we don't really have a rule for that. Well, fix it. Hey, by the way.
Agreed. That's well said.
Got a couple of texts about Brady Trombello.
Yes. And yesterday was last night was kind of the first real update you've seen on anything for an announcement around it. Because I know we've had a lot of questions.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. I want to read that exactly as it came. Updates on Brady Trombello. Yeah, and how's the rest of the team? Okay, the text is, any updates on Brady Trombello, and how's the rest of the team handling this situation? And I think Coach Tadlock just did a media availability, and we probably don't have that audio cut yet. So let's Clint, you and I, let's commit to if he spoke about Brady, because the one thing I've seen about it is that summarizes that the media, or the sort of setting the stage for this week. It talks about a non-conference game after a tough week. Well, the tough week is the seriousness of Trombello's situation. How much insider information? I think it seems to be well known. It sounds like he was hit by a line drive, I assume in an inner squad, don't know, ambulance, it was a line drive to the head, surgery. And it sounds like everything's gotten stabilized, and they're very optimistic about his situation, but extremely serious situation. And so I have no earthly idea about his availability to pitch again, anytime soon. And I know you're not asking that. What I also don't know yet is how the rest of the team's handling it. That can be a tough thing. Somebody hit that line, assuming it was a line drive in an inner squad. I think that's the case. Somebody hit that, and that can get way in your head.
Yeah, you don't have to be the one that I understand what you're saying, but you don't have to be the one that hit it. I mean, just being a teammate, being out there, being around it.
Sure. If Coach Tadlock spoke about that, we'll do our best to get that audio tomorrow. All right, and the lead up and the prep for, the prep for the game tomorrow night.
It is Tech Talk here on Double T 97.3 and DoubleT973.com. Right back with more next.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is a rare empty Thursday tonight after us and over on the Score. So, again, Thursdays kind of turn into go spend time with your family, go and introduce yourself. Or you can go watch LCU basketball. They're going on tonight.
Yeah, so. they got two big ones here.
Yeah, West Texas
Thursday and Saturday
tonight, and then back over West Texas A&M on Thursday. Those are always good games. Regardless of the setting, those games are always good.
Yeah, and this year it may have postseason implications for LCU in terms of they're either fortifying their resume or. We'll see. I don't know the answer to that. We talked to Brennan about it the other day when he was producing, and it sounded like they really need to get one of these, and you would think that the logical place to get one would be at home.
Yeah.
So big game tonight for the Shaps. Go get them to the fighting Todd Duncans.
This for Leap Day, Eric on Wheels says, my sister turned 10 today.
Yes.
Happy birthday to her.
Yep.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line where you can hit us up as well. Go Spurs, go, baby. 2030 NBA champs. the long con. There you go. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Start, bench, cut. I love these. Brock Lesnar, Brock Cunningham, Brock Purdy.
I'm starting Purdy.
Oh, really? I'm going to start Brock Lesnar.
Same here.
I'll bench
Lesnar
Purdy.
And I'll cut Yin Yang.
I'll bench Purdy and I'll cut Cunningham.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that.
Mm-hmm. The beast incarnate.
Didn't Lesnar wrestle at the University of Minnesota?
He did.
Yeah.
He's had a
played for the Vikings too.
I was going to say, what did he make it out of camp or out of
We'll
preseason games?
Football
I can't remember.
reference. We'll look him up. Hey,
But
by
yeah,
the way,
Minnesota wrestler, then was on the Vikings for a hot minute, then WWE, then legitimate UFC terrifying champion, and then back to WWE.
hey, I'm gonna go football reference. If he played in an NFL game, he would have a football reference. By the way, you're getting requested on the. Do you have room for another? You have any room for any bumpers there, Ben? You good? You chock full, or our man Bullfighter's wanting to know if he can get in a request.
Think so, yeah.
Movie
Looks
theme,
like it.
so
Yeah.
Movie song. Yep. Get it in.
This on the chat line. He should have been suspended for the remainder of the season, and Terry should have called out his behavior as unacceptable.
I understand why Terry didn't, but yeah, Terry quick to point out that it's unsportsmanlike to go horns down or whatever when West Virginia players did it, but no comment.
UCF game. Yeah,
and I get it.
Ridiculous.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Wouldn't expect him to do anything else. And by all accounts, a good dude.
Yeah.
Just you're not going out there and burying your own guy, but yeah, I'm with you. It's that kind of thing that's so super rich when you're. Those guys went through the line and they were getting it's unsportsmanlike. They had their horns down. Like any comment on the Brock Cunningham situation? Nope, seemed just fine to me.
No, I didn't say anything. I was talking about.
Lesnar.
Just a good hustle play there.
Right, exactly. Lesnar 106-5 in his wrestling time at the University of Minnesota. NCAA Division I champion. So a real wrestler.
Yeah. Well, it's all real, Gus. Come on. This from Raiders' dad. He clip the Gus. Hell yeah, please.
Yeah,
here you go. Quit crying. The referees got it right. He got kicked out at the end of it. There have been just as hard fouls this year and nothing happened to other players. Be happy he got kicked out. Again, this is the intentional side. And if there are other intentional fouls in the same vein, then I'm going to say the same thing and have the same opinion. They should be suspended at least a game. And that's what, when you go into there should be something built in, then I completely agree. There should be something that is a standard. I think someone yesterday on the chat line, talked about like this. Well, however you handle this is kind of setting a precedent, and I agree with that completely. This from Gary. Too bad that it wasn't tied or a 2-point game at that time of the game. That would have really fired up the fans and the Texas Tech players. And that's where I go, I'll put the tinfoil hat back on. If it was a 2-point game, I don't think it would have happened. I think he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew where the game was at, that on a win-loss it wouldn't have any repercussions, whether he was thrown out or not, or got just a flagrant, whatever the situation was. It was going to be incredibly hard-pressed to change the actual outcome of the game. This on the chat line. Good job, Gus. Fix it and call it the TU Cunningham rule.
There you go.
There you go.
Brock Lesnar was in camp with the Vikings. Did not make it out of camp.
If Brock has any eligibility left, he could sure play linebacker for the football team. That was a heck of a knock out of bounds when the running back is straddling the sideline, no doubt. When that play happened, when you go back and watch, like, okay, everyone's running together and joining up, I'll be honest, I was ready for a Joe Toussaint spear because I thought it was coming the way he was making a beeline for it.
It's one of the great things about, and hockey people talk about this, but it's one of the great things about hockey in that, that you can throw punches and it's within a framework, but and you can't allow that in basketball. You can't really allow it in any other sport, but it's kind of, there's some cultural, really interesting. But when a dude takes a cheap shot, or that they'll call it when he runs a guy, when they run a guy and just like zero in on him, just smoke a guy, or then you 2 or 3 dudes and they all come together, like it can be immediate, like wham wham, we're going, and not the kind of deal where the whole place clears out and you circle them up and you and me go, but like and it's like And again, I'm not advocating for this, but it does offer some clarity when those hockey dudes get to immediately, or if it's immediately like scrums up and they don't get to scrap, it's like, hey, Clint, you hit my boy Foreman. The next time, you and me are going. You got it?
Yeah.
And you better be ready, And and so.
Gloves off, pal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they'll be standing there at the face-off line. The puck gets dropped because you don't fight outside of the suspensions and stuff are more if you fight in hockey outside of the clock, and that's why you'll see them drop the puck and then you and me go, but it's like that's how that would work, and so the sport has a way of sort of letting Toussaint or letting D5 get that, and there's a clarity to it that, again, I'm not advocating for it in basketball, but it's like
I am.
Hockey allows you to resolve that stuff in a way that kind of gets the fans and everybody some fulfillment.
Each player that wants to fight gets a chair.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
That's right. As a great collegiate hitter, this was my walk-up music.
Absolutely. We'll have to do that one of these days. We'll do everybody in Texas will walk-up songs. We're doing that today. Still doing movies.
Save it.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. But we're doing not too late to get them in. Doing movie soundtrack songs. So yeah, text them in.
Gus, I have something for you here. Really, this is a revisit of a story we had talked about when it originally came out. And I understand that there could be some Chiefs overload, and just because Patrick Mahomes is there doesn't mean we're not in Cowboys territory. But this story, you remember Chiefsaholic?
Yeah.
A la Xavier Babadar. If you don't remember this story, here is the short version of it. Chiefsaholic is a well-known Kansas City Chiefs superfan, and he's known for showing up in a gray wolf suit to Chiefs games. Done it for years in that area, very well known. He was caught after a long series of robberies across multiple states. and money laundering as well. He admitted, I think this was yesterday, to stealing more than $800,000 in 11 bank robberies across 7 states, and then laundering the proceeds through area casinos, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. He pleaded guilty to 1 count of bank robbery, 1 count of money laundering, and 1 count of transporting stolen property across state lines. He's 29, faces a maximum sentence of 50 years in prison. His sentencing is set for July 10th. He also must pay $532,675 in restitution and forfeit any property gained through his crimes, including an autographed painting of Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes that he purchased at a charity auction. Ooh, rough. So I want to go back real quick.
Okay.
Faces a maximum sentence of 50 years in prison. He is going to get the maximum sentence because this is his lawyer.
From the beginning of this case, folks, the government has been blitzing, and Xavier's pocket was collapsing. But today, Xavier stepped into the pressure. He took responsibility for his actions. He stood up in court, humble and repentant, and admitted what he had done. Now, if I know anything about Xavier, and if the Chiefs Kingdom knows anything about Chiefsaholic, we know that he doesn't give up. We know that if he stumbled and he fell, he didn't let his knee touch the ground. And that's because he's capable of doing a great thing. And he knows that there's still hope. We still have a lot of work to do on his case, but Xavier wants everyone to know that he loves the Chiefs Kingdom, he loves Kansas City, and he hopes that you'll rally to his support. Thank you and God bless.
That's not a real lawyer.
No.
No.
Solid.
No shot. That's a real lawyer. I mean, it's like, hey, you know what'll really calm things down? Go out and make a bunch of football puns, since
Right.
everyone knows I'm such a big football fan.
Perfect.
Every Chiefs Kingdom, rally around him. Like, what? You committed crimes. What rallying is there to do? What a joke. This from Eric on Wheels. He drove to the Houston game from Kansas City and robbed a bank on the way. He got caught and never made it back to Kansas City, and his friends were worried about him like he was missing because he was seen at the Houston game. I remember when everyone thought he was missing. Yeah. Nope, just criminal activity along the way.
Just that.
Hey, get your questions in on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We'll have Ask Tech Talk here at 5:45. That's brought to you by Visual Edge IT. We got this on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Two Biggins, horse name. That's good. That's good. Thanks for Danger Zone. Y'all are awesome. Oh, shout out to Ben Portman for playing all the requests today. We need to move on. It wasn't that bad. That for the Cunningham play. To which, on the other side, from Velo Raider, they should make Cunningham play the entire next game. That'd be more punishment for TU. That's pretty funny. Getting long-term punishment helps prevent D1 bruisers like hockey. Just have a nobody player go take someone out of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Take out a real guy, and that's where some of the equity comes in that sport. If your scrub goes after my player, my dude comes
Scrub
over
is a guy who takes out another player. We don't want no scrubs. You said no one was advocating for the basketball fight. Let him go. I'm advocating for it.
Yeah, I got it. I just make sure I wasn't like truly advocating.
Oh yeah,
for
you
this.
weren't making a
Give 'em-
case.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it's one of the.
Here's my
things
30-page
hockey
PowerPoint
offers.
on why I want
Right.
fighting in basketball.
Right, hockey offers some clarity. It gets addressed soon or shortly thereafter. The next time we play you and me.
Shelley said the brutality of hockey is at the very least honest. No need for the BS. Love it. And Steven said, only in hockey do you get 2 minutes for fighting. Brock's the Jordan Shipley of UT basketball, sans the talent. This is a good question. We didn't really ever get into this. Did you guys see where Filipowski avoided injury and was able to play last night? Thank goodness. I was afraid he was going to have his leg amputated. So I think that at least for the Big 12, and I'm not saying it should be, this is just what I think is going to happen. I think you're a couple years out from seeing court storming legit be banned. And I say this, I can't remember what ESPN show it was, but Brett Yormark was interviewed on it. And he gave his thoughts, like that's something since he's been here has been, hey, are we doing everything correctly for the safety side? Earlier this year, UCF got fined because they didn't have their safety guides in place when they rushed the court after they beat Kansas. And again, I am not anti-court storming. I am pro, like, if there are safety measures to be had,
sure,
do those. Don't be an idiot. And whether you are pro-Filipowski, anti-Filipowski, and the Duke-Wake Forest thing, the sad part is what was the focus from that? It wasn't that Wake Forest had an awesome upset at home of Duke. It was, watch this scuffle, and then you're not even talking about the game. You're talking to Filipowski started. Was it Wake Forest? Should we ban court storming?
Right.
And Jay Billis's and Seth Greenberg's going around, I have a way to fix it. We just murder everybody who storms the court. We send them to Alcatraz. That's what the focus was. And so
I know.
And it's easier said than done to say, like, well, just storm the court the right way. Because then you have to control a mass of people,
right?
In a hysteric moment.
I was as normally well thought out as Billis is. I was a little surprised by that.
You need to be, from a university standpoint, doing the accurate steps of protecting the players. Because even with storming the court, at the end of the day, if there's a player-fan incident, one of them, whether it's after the game or not, one of them has the right to be on the court.
Yeah.
And who is it? It's the player. It's the staff. It's the coaches. But that's why they don't ask me to do it, because, again, easier said than done. I can just be here behind the mic and, like, be safe and storm the court the correct way.
Right.
Little Mulan here for you.
This has been the Tech Talk Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.